As a Boy Scout, there was one book published by the BSA that sparked my imagination and inspired me to try to master the outdoor skills presented within its pages. I spent a great deal of time reading and getting my friends together for all kinds of patrol and troop activities where we could learn and practice these new skills. The book? Well, it's the Field Book. Let's learn more about the BSA Field Book in this edition of Artifact of the Week. Before the first edition of the Field Book was published in 1944, the Boy Scouts relied on articles published in Scouting and Scoutmastership Notes. There were also pamphlets called Scout's Field Book or the Scoutmaster's Field Book that shared woodcraft skills with Scouts and Scouters. In 1927, these pamphlets were replaced with the Howe Book of Scouting. In the foreword, Chief Scout Executive James E. West writes, "These past issues of Scouting and of Scoutmastership Notes show a remarkable record of progress, achievement, and service. Some of the matter naturally was for its own time only, but a great deal of it remains of enduring value and interest. So much so, in fact, that it has often seemed a pity that this wealth of worthwhile material should not be readily accessible to Scoutmasters, old, new, and yet to be. It is in response to this real need and constant demand that the Howe Book of Scouting has been prepared, a sort of well-organized scrapbook, a gathering together in convenient form of the best things which have been printed in Scouting and Scoutmastership Notes, which is now merged with Scouting, which are all still timely and serviceable to Scout leaders." The Howe Book of Scouting was printed until 1942. In 1944, James E. West and William Hillcourt authored the first edition of the Scout Field Book. The cover artwork was done by Don Ross, who also was the artist for the Scout Handbook at the time. Chapters included topics such as hiking, campcrafts, wildlife, and our America. They're illustrated with over 1,000 photographs and drawings. The Field Book also contained a quick index of advancement and Scout requirements, so you had an easy way to cross-reference the information with your advancement needs. The first edition of the Field Book was used for the next 32 years, with nearly 1 million copies bought, used, and treasured by Scouts and Scouters. The second edition was called the Field Book for Boys and Men, but the first page showed that it was a valuable resource by adding for Boy Scouts, explorers, Scouters, educators, and outdoorsmen. As you can see, this copy was also autographed by Greenbar Bill at some point in time. On page 4, you will find the header, "A Book with a Purpose." It reads, "The Field Book is a book of action. You won't sit very long in an easy chair reading it. You'll want to get outside to try the nature projects, to give the exciting menus a whirl over an open fire, to pitch your tent, yes, even to build an igloo. Educators will find the projects helpful in stimulating developing minds, and hunters and fishermen intrigued by techniques shown for living comfortably in the field." Now remember when I said just a couple of minutes ago that the Field Book was the book that got me excited? That's because the second edition of the Field Book was the Field Book when I became a Scout in the mid-1970s. In 1976, the cover changed and they added a wilderness use policy to the inside front cover and a flammability warning to the inside back cover. The back cover always had a quick reference key to help you find what you wanted as quickly as possible. More than 1,700 photos and illustrations filled the book, including a section at the end on how to make a reflector oven, a backpack frame from your tent poles, and an actual backpack to mount on that newly constructed frame. It also included a list of books for additional research on topics of interest. The Field Book ended with a page dedicated to recruiting readers to consider a career as a professional Scouter, and even told you where to find contact information for the local council and to reach out to the local Scout executive to get the process started. The second edition remained in print until 1984. The third edition of the Field Book was introduced in 1984 and begins to show a shift in our attitudes about our impact on the land through our outdoor activities and adventures. Color photographs make their introduction in the third edition, and each chapter begins with a quote from some famous person to set the stage for the chapter, which is written by a content area expert for that subject. At the end of the book, there is a collection of short biographies for each individual quoted. The book also has information on where you can go to find these outdoor adventures, including information on contacts for each of the BSA High Adventure bases, including the main High Adventure area and the Adirondack Adventure area. both of which are no longer BSA National High Adventure properties. There's even a chapter dedicated to horseback riding and using pack animals. This chapter was written by Stephen Zimmer, former director of the museums here at Philmont and noted Western historian. The focus of the third edition is to help us prepare for high adventure opportunities and understand our relationship to all of nature along the way. The fourth edition of the Field Book was around for a very short 10 years, from 2004 to 2014. It expanded on many of the changes introduced in the third edition by continuing to stress the importance of our impact on the environment through our activities and adventures. Chapters included topics such as outdoor leadership and trek preparation, leaving no trace, trek adventures, and appreciating our environment. The Field Book also featured an icon to direct you to a website, bsafieldbook.org, for enhanced content on the topic in question. The fourth edition was also by and far the largest of the field books published. It was taller and wider than previous editions, and it was significantly heavier than the previous ones, weighing in at 1.6 pounds. Finally, we have the current edition, the fifth edition of the Field Book, Scouting's Manual of Basic and Advanced Skills for Outdoor Adventure. This book goes back to a more manageable size and weight than the previous edition. It covers topics like hiking, camping, canoeing, mountain travel, ultralight backpacking, wilderness navigation, whitewater kayaking, and a whole lot more. There's new emphasis on wilderness safety and survival, and a section featuring a history on scouting in the outdoors. If you're new to the outdoor adventure world, this edition of the Field Book still provides step-by-step guides to get you started. For those of you that are more developed in your outdoor skill set, the Field Book will enhance your abilities and assist you going further, higher, and deeper into the backcountry. While it's a great tool for scouts and scouters, it can also be an indispensable resource for anyone before, during, and after every outdoor adventure. The Field Book can be purchased from the BSA Supply Division as either a perfect bound book, a spiral bound book, or as a digital version for use on your favorite mobile device. Now go out and get yourself a copy of the Field Book. By the way, the second edition was also produced commercially for sale outside of the BSA. Its cover was different and it had a 16-page inset featuring the artwork of Norman Rockwell. Well, that's all the time we have for this week. Join us next time as we continue to uncover the history of the BSA through the collection of the National Scouting Museum and Artifact of the Week.